Yeah, tough way to end. I mean, we had some guys really fight like crazy, and then had a couple guys offensively not play their game the way they played all year. But that stuff happens in this tournament, and we did a pretty good job on Johnson, and he makes that three. And the little kid makes the three. How he make a deep three. We miss a couple, and all of a sudden it gets out of hand. But these kids fought. They never stopped. I mean, these two, Oscar did some special stuff.
Questions, raise your hand. Let's get the handheld mic to you. Any questions? Up front row.
Brett Friedlander, Saturday Road coach, and then the players can answer it as well. You did a really good job defensively on them on three-pointers in the first half. I believe they were 0 for 12. They were 5 for 9 in the second half. Was it a matter of them doing something different to get better looks, or was there something else that played into it?
Who was shooting? We did. The guys, I told them at halftime, there's the guys that we wanted to shoot the ball shot the ball. We got to keep playing those other couple guys. The second thing is we had 11 turnovers at halftime. And I said, you did the same thing to Providence, and that's why they had breakout layups. If you held those breakout layups and we finished the half a little bit better, it's a different story. We only had 5 turnovers in the second half. So there were things we did. But you can't go 0 for 20 or 1 for 20. You can in these games. And then we get it and say how, and, you look at the shots and say, oh, my gosh, But I don't, like I told them after the game, what this team had been through individually as a group, how they stayed together, they loved each other, they covered for each other, they were there for each other, and they worked their butts off for us as a staff and me as a head coach and each other. So, but the guys that made them, you think about who made them. They did not shoot them. They shot a couple, but not that many in the first half.
Front row.
Ryan Black with the Louisville Courier-Journal. Kyle, how tough is it for this team when you've counted on Antonio a lot offensively, and he doesn't score his first points until 23 seconds are left, and his first field goal until 6 seconds?
It hurts you, but I don't want to put it on him. I mean, we had other guys not show, just didn't post much either. And so it wasn't just one guy. And then you're left to playing one way, and that's to try to throw it into Oscar or try to get one of these two to get a basket. And Chris got that offensive rebound and made a 3 in the corner. And Kaysen was, you think about it, here's a guard who's played solely point guard, which has made him a better player, but he goes 9 for 11 and gets 9 rebounds? What? We out-rebound him by 19. We only have 5 turnovers in the second half, and we lose. And so, again, when you look at that, you can't, in these kind of games, you got to make those shots. You got to make baskets. You got to make those free throws. And Oscar made free throws. I mean, down the stretch, all we were trying to do is, all right, let's get this. It's the only way we're getting baskets.
We have members of the media on Zoom. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. Any other questions here? Back left.
David Hale with ESPN. John, you've talked a few times this week about how every job is tough and they come with their own things that make them difficult. But obviously one of the things that makes your job tougher than some is the expectations that surround Kentucky. As you mentioned, the number of things that probably went your way to still lose. Is there a sense of, or do you empathize with sort of the sense of frustration that I'm sure some Kentucky fans are feeling right now about kind of where things are?
I have empathy. I understand what this program's about. And I think, again, that's what makes it what it is. And that's why I tell players this isn't for everybody, because the expectations are so high. And the same with coaching. It's not for everybody. This thing is, there's a high expectation level, and it is Kentucky. You put that on, the other team's going to play out of their minds, and they're going to play like they have nothing to lose. And that means you got to play that way. So, yeah, I understand it, but, my concern of these kids, and I tried to keep what you're saying off of them. obviously, with a couple, maybe I didn't do as good a job as I thought I did. I wanted them to just play, have fun, enjoy the experience, make the plays you make, take what they give you.
Questions, please, for Kaysen and Chris as well. Next question to our right.
Tyler Thompson, Kentucky Sports Radio. Kaysen and Chris, I know your freshman year didn't end as you would hope, but how would you reflect on your year in Lexington?
Chris?
Like Coach said, this group has been through a lot. It was definitely like a journey of ups and downs. We fought with each other. We learned a lot of things about each other, learned about each other as a group and as individuals. So, what I'm saying? I feel like it was just a lot, but I wish we could have continued our season on today. But I feel like we had a lot of things to be proud about, looking back on this season for sure.
Kaysen?
I loved every moment of this year. I mean, getting to know each one of these players, not even as players but as men, and growing a bond with them, even with Coach and the staff. I mean, I made some lifelong friends here.
Most definitely.
Front row.
Yeah, Ryan Blackman with the Louisville Courier-Journal. Cal, I'm not trying to shift the focus too quickly to next season, but all 6 of your seniors can come back. I guess what for you is hopefully the timeline and when you would talk to them about what their role would be if they do decide to come back next year.
My guess is they will all leave. That's my guess, but I have not talked to them all. And, this is, I think, when you start winding down this COVID stuff where that's your extra year. But these kids accomplished a lot. We'll sit down. Now's not the time. I hugged them all after the game. Told them I loved them and appreciated everything they've done. But those conversations will be for a little later date.
Back left.
John Clay, Lexington Herald leader. John, do you feel like the things that hurt you in games that you lost this year, those things happened again in this game, or do you think that this was just a different game?
First of all, let me give Kansas State credit. They played really rough. They played active with their hands, especially in the first half. And they made basketball plays at the end that we did not make. So give them credit. But yes, this is what happened in certain games. And, you turn around and you're like, guys, you don't have to make them all. You just can't miss them all. And we've had games like that. And it's, you just hope in the NCAA tournament you can go on a run. And I thought after the first game where we fought, and we didn't shoot it great, but I thought that was a good sign. And talking to friends of mine, they're like, you're due for a big shooting night. You guys are due. And, I was trying to, as these two know, trying to build up Antonio for 2 days. Just, you're going to have a great game. You're going to shoot it. And then throughout the game, we just kept telling him what? Keep shooting. Shoot it, And just wasn't that day for him. And it wasn't his fault. I mean, we had other guys not make any shots either. And so, that happens in this sport. But yes, those, again, you out-rebound them. You have 5 turns in the second half. These two play the way they do. Oscar plays the way they do. You needed one more guy to play and go get baskets and play with that swagger that you have to play with in this tournament.
Any other questions? Back.
Aaron Gershon, Cats Paws in Lexington. John, with about a minute left in the half, you pulled Oscar and a few other guys. I was wondering, did you consider calling a timeout
Yes,
after Noel?
Yes, I did, and I should have. And I told him at halftime I should have. But we came out the second half and got up, so it didn't hurt us. But yes, that to get them back in. I didn't want Oscar to get a second foul. That's why I took him out. And then they were shooting. Yeah, I told them I should have called a timeout right then. They come down, we throw it away, and they make that shot. But again, we got up, we had our chances, and that wasn't what it was. And I told them, just make it up for me. And they did. Came out in the second half, and they played well.
Okay, Coach, guys, thanks. Congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you.